Okay, good evening, good afternoon. We're going to call the Public Power Hour to order. It's right at 5:30, and I want to be respectful of everyone's time. I want to welcome everybody for being here. I always go through this regardless of whether you've been here before or not. But as you see, there are no directors here. This is strictly City Council. And the only other person is Sharon Lamar, City Clerk, who will be taking notes. But this is a very unofficial meeting. This is informal opportunity for folks to talk to council, for us to listen, for us to ask questions. We don't vote on anything. We don't make any decisions tonight. This is an information gathering that you get all of council here. We always let the folks who send an email request, so we got 3 people who I know are going to speak first. If anyone else is up there who has not sent an email, you will have an opportunity to speak if there's time. So with that being said, I'm going to ask Ms. Dr. Callie Oldfield from Finnish Swamp if she would like to come down. And Callie, if you don't mind, even though we've got your information, if you would, on the microphone, state your name and address for the record. And just let you know how we're doing this. We've got a period of time here, so what I would ask is for you to hold what your presentation is to no more than 5 minutes, and that would allow us then ask you if we have any questions, but make sure we are able to get the other folks into.
Yeah, absolutely. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay, my name is Callie Oldfield, and the address is 1858 Lock and Dam Road, Augusta, Georgia, 30904.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Mayor Williams and City Council. Thank you for taking the time to hear about Finnish Center's Savannah River research. My name is Callie Oldfield, and I'm the research director at Finnish Center. I've studied the impacts of natural disturbances on ecological systems for 8 years, and have published scientific articles on wetland land use change and botany. And I received my PhD from the University of Georgia, and I've worked with Georgia Environmental Protection Division to study how watersheds are changing over time. But today, I want to tell you about the mission and the work of Finnish Center for Water Sciences and how it's benefited the CSRA and North Augusta over the last 16 years. Clean water, a healthy environment, economic prosperity, community well-being. These are the principles that led to the founding of Finnish Center for Water Sciences. We are a nonprofit organization that offers excellent environmental education, maintains an 1,100-acre nature park, and conducts critical water quality research. We perform this research without bias to understand how and why water quality is changing over time. And Finnish Center has a long history of local board member presence in the North Augusta community. Michael Ford is currently with us right now, and he's a board member. And in the past, Turner Simpkins and Bray Boardman are previous board members. The focus of Finnish Center research is the Savannah River, the heart of the CSRA, which provides drinking water to 1.5 million people and affects the health of millions more. Thriving industries exist in this area because of the river, such as SciTech, Kimberly-Clark, North Augusta Mine, and Milliken McCormick. North Augusta country clubs, golf courses, and small businesses are all withdrawing this water, and then industries and wastewater plants like Aiken Horse Creek are discharging into the river. And regulations of certain water quality parameters ensure that the water is clean so that all that are fishing, swimming, and using it as drinking water stay healthy. And if the water quality is poor, not only is community health impacted, but economic development and industry jobs cannot continue. This is where Finnish Center for Water Sciences provides an essential service to the communities of the CSRA. Since 2005, we have monitored locations in the Savannah River from Hammond's Ferry to Lock and Dam to Clio, Georgia, which is about an hour from Savannah, Georgia. And these locations are all spaced out between the different major industries and wastewater effluent so that if the water quality changes, we'll know when and where. For instance, our sampling location by Hammond's Ferry is near a wastewater plant and also the Augusta Diversion Dam and Shoals area, which are critical to preserving the oxygen levels in the river. Having nearly 20 years of legally defensible data has supported evidence that the CSRA is not leading to downstream pollution in the Savannah Harbor, and Richmond County has used Finnish Center data as part of legal cases involving the impact of water quality downstream. In fact, we have shown over these 16 years that water quality is improving. This project started in 2006, and we had diverse support with City of North Augusta, Columbia County, and Richmond County, along with the EPA providing funds for the startup and the purchase of this specialized equipment that we still use. Over the last 16 years, City of North Augusta, Richmond County, and Columbia County have all supported the continuation of this monitoring for the economic prosperity and the health of our communities. But up until this year, the city, North Augusta, has been a partner with us in this monitoring, but we weren't included in this year's budget. And Mr. Clifford encouraged us to speak today with the council, where I'm essentially asking you to continue supporting this essential work. And we're requesting an annual amount of $15,000, which is the amount the city has provided for these last 16 years. And what this $15,000 funds is the researchers who go out and collect the water samples, who maintain this specialized water quality equipment, and also perform all of the water chemistry and data analysis. And this data is open to the public. We produce public reports. Finnish Center is able to monitor more locations for water quality than the regulators at a lower cost as we are a nonprofit. The total cost is about $200,000 annually to conduct this monitoring. So as the vibrant riverfront continues to develop, maintaining a partnership with Finnish Center as a resource to provide reliable information is essential for growth. We provide this service as a third-party, unbiased perspective where we're not the regulator and we're not the discharger. This data can support claims that North Augusta is not negatively affecting water quality in the Savannah River. And in the coming days, I'll reach out to each of you to personally provide you an invitation for a tour and to tell you more about the services we provide. So thank you for your time and your support of clean water, a healthy environment, economic prosperity, and community well-being. And if you have any questions.
I've got one. So, I mean, I'm very aware that, you know, supposedly the Savannah River is the 7th most polluted in the country. And I'm assuming that's right down near Tybee where everything comes out. So with your monitoring, I'm sure what happens? I mean, are you able to then go and say, hey, Urquhart, you've got whatever leaking, or are you going to go to the federal government if there's something coming from SRS or if there's something coming from Vogel? I mean, I understand the need to do it, but what are the actions if y'all find something that can be done?
Yeah, the actions are that we're in the process. So I've been in this position for a year, and one of my priorities has been making the data more accessible. So we have 16 years of data that not a lot of people know about. One of our steps is uploading this legacy data to an EPA portal so that it's available to everyone. But part of it is building ties in the community with the different counties and people supporting us to let them know when we are seeing water quality changes so that they can take appropriate actions. We're not going to report the results to the regulators, but we can let everyone know when we're finding a significant result, because we're not studying who is causing any pollution. You might be able to find it out based on where the locations are, the city, effluent, and the different industries where they're discharging. But we can say that water quality has improved over the last 16 years in the CSRA area. So it's not, you know, the CSRA that's leading to the Savannah Harbor pollution.
Cal, let me ask you, have you, because, you know, as far as a couple of things, our discharge, of course, with our sewer all goes to Horse Creek, and that's owned by the county. So we don't discharge anything. We do take water in, of course, and we do our own testing through a water treatment system. So, but my question is, I know you talk about Columbia County and Augusta. Have y'all reached out to Aiken County? Because in my mind, Aiken County would be an entity that should have, quite frankly, skin in the game. And it sounds like, this is a new council, so I can't tell you. All I will tell you is my understanding is years ago, and what we're trying to do now is when it comes to nonprofits, we're going back to what I'm going to call them community grants. Okay, we're trying to get away from having hardline item in our budgets. Okay, and that's probably what Mr. Clifford might have shared with you. So we did that at one time, and it looks like probably it did get baked into the budget, and we have been working at getting away from that. We just don't think that's feasible as a council. So I'm saying all that to say that I see value in what you do. I love your place. My wife takes our dog. I mean, Finney Swamp's amazing, so it's a wonderful what you're doing. I guess what I'm asking is, Aiken County, I don't see them listed, and I would think if you haven't already, that needs to be, we can give you who our county council person is, but that's an entity that I think y'all need to reach out to, because quite frankly, they are, in some ways, need y'all more than just the data you provide for us.
Yeah.
Because we do our own, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I completely agree. So I have been in this position for about a year, and so we've started communicating with Aiken County and City of Aiken about this. If you have contacts that you would recommend, then I'd really appreciate
We can
that.
get you some people.
Okay, yeah, I would really appreciate that. But I think that this started because City of North Augusta is the riverfront, and the Savannah River is so integral to the communities and people living around the river. But I completely agree that we do want to speak with Aiken.
I've got one other question. There is somebody else who claimed to do, I won't mention their name, but they claim to do the same thing y'all do. There's several groups. What sets your group out better than these others that claim to do the same thing?
Yeah, well, for one thing, we are a team of scientists who have all trained. We have people with chemistry backgrounds who are a lab supervisor. We are running the samples ourselves in an accredited chemistry lab. We have PhD scientists who are analyzing the data, presenting the results each year, and preparing a report. But I don't want to knock other groups. I think the real value is having a lot of groups, adopt a stream groups, community members who are interested and invested in monitoring their water quality and knowing what's going in their river. We're just the group that is doing the highest quantity of work. We're monitoring the most sites, and these pieces of equipment are taking data every 15 minutes at 5 different locations in the river. So we have millions of data points that can support information about water quality. But I do want to say, this is one piece. USGS takes data. The different regulators do take data.
You got a question?
Yeah, well, I don't so much have a question. I guess just clarification for my purposes, and this may be more for us than for Dr. Oldfield, but I don't remember seeing this in past budgets in the charitable contribution portion. So was this baked?
It was not.
And I don't necessarily see, I understand that it may be couched as a charitable deduction, but it's actually us contributing to them in order to provide data. And I think you're 100% on the right page, and that Aiken County should certainly, they should have skin in the game. I think that's a great way to put it. But I think it's, at least my thoughts when we've had that conversation about not baking in charitable contributions and looking at them on an annual basis and deciding who we're going to give. To me, this is more of us purchasing a service and purchasing data. And I guess we want to have a conversation as a council on whether or not that data is useful to us. That's a conversation we can have. I would argue that it probably is. But I don't know. As I think of it, I don't necessarily think this fits completely in the purely charitable contribution area
But we're not
either.
purchasing anything.
Well, but we're providing funding for them to provide data back to us. So we're not necessarily directly purchasing it, but we're getting something for that contribution. And not to say from the other nonprofits that we don't get anything either. They certainly provide things, quality of life sort of issues. But I don't know. I just look at this one a little bit different.
That's a good point. The great thing, and this is why you're here, is your timing's very good, because we are going to begin working on our budget, okay? So, and the other part of this is, again, this is an example that, like you said, there's a history here, but quite frankly, you've got a new council, and it hadn't been a conversation as a council. So we need, as a council, to decide, okay, what do we see? And if so, and I think there's value, so don't misunderstand me. The question is, what is that dollar value is? What is that? And how does that need to be done? So you've given us the information we need, Callie. Thank you very much. We appreciate all you do, okay?
Yeah, thank
All
you.
right, thank you. Appreciate it. Good stuff. All right, Mr. Joel Osborne. Come on in. Joel, state your name and address for the record.
Joel.
And let me just say, Joel, now, every time you come up here, don't think you're gonna become a social media star. And we posted some Facebook on you last time, but don't think that we're gonna be doing that every time you come here, okay? Just let you know.
I was going to use Arnold Schwarzenegger's Terminator. You know, I'll be back, and I'm back. But I hope this is my last time.
State your name and address for us, please.
Joel Osborne at 656 Railroad Avenue.
Thank you.
I grew up in North Augusta. My wife was born here. My 2 girls went to school here. My granddaughter's going to school here. So we love North Augusta, and we love what y'all have done in North Augusta. I'm really proud of the city. And I can point to things that I'm proud of. Every time I cross the 13th Street Bridge coming home, I see the landscaping, the shrubbery, the palmetto trees. At SRP Park Circle, there's always fresh flowers down. It looks really great. Carolina and Martintown have flowers, and they all are maintained great for the city. And I think it shows people coming down here, passing through. We're proud of this city. And I think we're trying to get more people to come here and to come in town more than just getting an ice cream, you know, more than just getting a donut. And when you put your trash cans and your benches out, I think that's also made it more attractive for people. I understand we're trying to expand the Greenway to get people to come up into the city and to spend more time up here, and I think that's a great thing. I understand at one point we have a traffic study to try to study how to slow the traffic down when you get down in North Augusta. That's another positive. I understand we have a tourism director, or we will have one, and that's all saying we want people to come to North Augusta. But I'm really into flowers and shrubbery and stuff like that. Come by my house if you want to see some. But I go downtown, I'm talking about the block between the Pink Dipper and the First Baptist Church. I think it's Spring Grove and Pine Grove or whatever that. And I looked down and says, this is not very attractive, that part of North Augusta. And it's 200 yards up the road and 200 yards, so it's 400 yards. And it's really nothing but asphalt, concrete, and brick there. And it's just it's not very attractive the way I look at it. In those 400 yards, there are 8 shrubs there, which are crepe myrtles. I think the one on the corner may be an oak of some kind. And if you take the ones off on the various corners, you only have 4 crepe myrtles that are probably 12 feet high, don't provide any shade, not very attractive. But if you say, now, what attracts me, if you walk down Hammond's Ferry, you see all the trees, you see other places like from the First Baptist Church up to where Georgia and Carolina split, they're big trees, provide a lot of shade. We don't have that in that part of North Augusta. I think you need to have some shade, some trees, and if you could at some point decide to do anything with downtown, I think you need to get rid of the crepe myrtles, get something that will provide a canopy, because these other trees, like in front of your pie, they're 35 feet tall, big, canopy, a lot of shade. Mm-hmm. But the rest of it, I get a haircut down there. Sure. I do other things, it's just hot, and it's just not attractive to me. So that's what I'm suggesting, that you look at that, and if you get some trees in, sometime later on, you can put some flowers and stuff, and I go down to the butterfly garden a lot. And the 3 garden clubs, I'm not volunteering them to do anything, but they have a little site down there they keep up. But nobody goes down there, or very few people go down there. And I'm thinking, well, maybe they would like to have something to do with a certain area of Georgia Avenue to take care of. And they can show off their stuff versus have it hidden down in the butterfly garden.
I think it's a great idea. Let me just tell you that one of the items, because going back to the Georgia Avenue traffic study, what we've learned through the Main Street group is one of the ways you can slow traffic is through visual items like trees. Mm-hmm. So that you're right on track. So I think as far as myself, I agree 100%. But my guess is until we kind of understand what other calming mechanism, how it all plays in, I think most of us will agree that you're right on track, right? I don't think we're all. So thank you for bringing it, but you bring it out to all of us publicly. Okay. That's how you do it, Joel.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Real quick.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Well, it wasn't really for Joel, but when we did the benches and the trash cans, there was talk about doing hanging flower baskets. Did that ever? Is that still in the works? Okay.
Phase 2. Okay. Mr. Ken Smith. Now, Ken, I know this is important because you're in a coat and tie. I've been to weddings and you haven't worn a coat and tie. So this is very important. State your name and address for the record, please.
My name is Ken Smith. I live at 98 Falmouth, and I'm dressed this way because I admire Britain so much. I knew he'd have a tie. good afternoon, and thank y'all for having taking the time to come listen to us and giving us a chance to speak to you. I'm representing the Arts Council, and I know a lot of y'all have been active and done things with the Arts Council in the past, but over the past 2 years, everybody's dealt with a lot of complexities and challenges that we'd never faced before, and that affected us, the Arts Council. So, being as how I don't know if everyone is familiar with what we do at the Arts Council, I just wanted to take a few minutes to tell you what we are, hit a couple of the highlights of the things we're doing. As many of you know, we have our concerts in the park, and if you haven't been, I recommend them. We had about 10 a year for 15 years, and then the last 2 years we had a total of 4, but we were back to a 10 concert schedule this year. And if you need a schedule, I've brought some. So come. I know Ms. Lamar has a schedule, but I want to make sure you had a chance to have one. But that's one of the big things we do. But we do some other things that are not quite so visible, such as we give art scholarships to graduating seniors in North Augusta who want to continue, who want to major or minor in an art-related field. And so that's something we do that a lot of people aren't aware of. We do have the concerts, as I mentioned. We do art shows for adults that we have twice a year, and then we have a student art show for all the kids in North Augusta. So if you haven't been to those art shows, I'd like to encourage you to do it. Come to the art shows if you have a chance. Something new we've started is just in the past few months, we've gotten a grant from the Kisner Foundation to finance dance classes for children who would otherwise be unable to afford these dance classes, and it is, honestly, it is heartwarming to see the reaction from these children. It's just wonderful. So anyway, that, like I say, that just want to hit a few high points, and I shouldn't forget the Prism concert and the Veterans concert that we do every year, which are well received and they're outstanding music. So come to those if you can. But since y'all help fund the things we do, I just wanted to come and touch base and give y'all a little summary report of what we've been doing and what we try to do for the community. And I hope we see y'all at our events, and we appreciate the support, and that's about all I have to say unless somebody has a question.
I don't have a question per se, but I just want to let y'all know that what y'all do is felt in the community. Mary Ann taught my daughter, Katie, 2 years ago when she was a senior. We were walking in there just checking some stuff out, and she showed Mary Ann some of her art she had done. She entered the student contest back then. It was great. She actually sold some of her paintings through Facebook. I don't know if you've heard, Ken. It encouraged her. She applied, and she is leaving in August to go to SCAD.
Oh, that's great.
Yes. So, not really, but yeah. But like I told her, I said, that's the school you need to go to for what you want to do. And, when they said they had a 99% job placement rate, I thought it was great. But it was that kind of encouragement. I know we've heard people, I think Ryan Abel has spoke before about arts. This has been a sports town. I grew up playing. Kevin, I'm sure you did too. It's always been about sports. So y'all do offer something. And I hope, I know Mary Ann has reached out to the schools to let these kids know, hey, there is other things for you. And I think what y'all are doing is great. And my daughter's just an example of somebody gave her a little bit of encouragement, and now she had the courage to go apply to SCAD, and they were just blown away, and she was able to get some scholarships through them. So, it's still going to be pricey, but I think she's going to enjoy being down there. So I just wanted to thank y'all for that.
Well, I think that's great. Thanks, Eric.
That's your next story on your newsletter.
Yeah,
Reach out to you. Okay.
We'll do an interview, sir.
Yeah. Thank you, Ken.
Thanks a lot.
Appreciate it, yep. Okay, we've got just a couple minutes, so is anybody that's here that wants to do public power that did not send an email? Okay, then we will stand adjourned and meet back at 6 o'clock for our next city council meeting. Thank you. Good evening. If everybody would like to take a seat, I'd like to call the City of North Augusta regular city council meeting for June the 6th to order. Welcome, everybody. It's great to see a great turnout tonight. At this point, we move to item 2, Invocation Pledge of Allegiance. You are welcome to join me in prayer. Dear God, as we come together tonight to do the business of the city, we ask for your guidance and discernment. I ask that you continue to open our hearts and minds to what is shared tonight. Amen. And please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We'll do a roll call going from my left.
Eric Presnell.
Pat Carpenter.
Britton Williams.
Bob Brooks.
Jennifer McCauley.
Kevin Toole.
Okay, approval of minutes. Are there any deletions, additions, or corrections to the regular city council meeting minutes of May the 16th, 2022, or the study session minutes of May the 23rd, 2022? Hearing none, they stand approved as distributed. Thank you. Okay, we have got a number of proclamations. This is always a fun part of a council meeting. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to come around to the dais and I'm going to call each of the folks up. We're going to start off with Elizabeth Hawkins. Is Elizabeth here? She's not here. Okay. Well, I'm going to come around. We'll stand there and read the proclamation, and then we'll ask Galen to come down. So. Okay, this is a proclamation. Whereas scoliosis, the abnormal curvature of the spine, is a condition which affects an estimated 6 to 9 million people in the United States. And whereas primary onset of scoliosis is between ages 10 to 15, with females being 5 times more likely to require treatment. And scoliosis can cause pain, reduced respiratory function, and limited mobility in otherwise healthy children. And approximately 1 in 6 children diagnosed with this disease will eventually require active medical treatment. And whereas screening programs allow for early detection and for treatment opportunities which may alleviate the worst effects of the condition, which has no known cause or cure. And whereas raising public awareness of scoliosis is vital, helping children, parents, and health care providers understand, diagnose, and treat this disease and reduce the pain and suffering of those it affects. Now, therefore, I, Britton S. Williams, Mayor of the City of North Augusta, South Carolina, do hereby claim June 2022 as Scoliosis Early Detection Awareness Month, in witness whereof I have hereunto set my hand and caused the seal of the City of North Augusta, South Carolina to be affixed this 6th day of June 2022. Elizabeth Hawkins, met her last year. She came, who we presented to. A neat young lady, Clemson graduate, I believe. She's enrolled at Clemson. She started a scoliosis program and campaign at Clemson. Just a dynamite young lady. I wish she was here, but anyway, this is for them. So thank you. Let's give them a round of applause for that organization. Ms. Galen Potter, come on down. How are you? Good to see you. Okay. National Garden Week. Whereas gardeners have a passion for nurturing the beauty and resources of the earth through the planting of seeds, the care of all plants, and the riches of their efforts. And whereas gardeners work to preserve our country's traditional spirit of independence and initiative through innovation and hard work. And whereas gardeners advocate the importance of all creatures sharing our world and their roles in a balanced and productive ecology. And whereas gardening serves as a challenging and productive activity for all citizens, just those learning as well as those having years of experience. And whereas gardening promotes a healthy lifestyle that lasts a lifetime, helps reduce stress from other areas of our life, and teaches that rewards come from diligent efforts. And whereas the North Augusta Council of Garden Clubs enriches our city by maintaining Billy's Butterfly Garden, providing a scholarship for a North Augusta High School senior, and sponsoring campers for Camp Wildwood. Now, therefore, I, Britton S. Williams, Mayor of the City City of North Augusta, South Carolina, do hereby proclaim the week of June the 5th through the 11th, 2022 as National Garden Week. In witness whereof I have hereunto set my hand and cause the seal of the City of North Augusta to be affixed the 6th day of June 2022. If y'all have not been to Billy's Butterfly Garden, you need to go. And I had the opportunity last fall to go on a Saturday work day. And I'm going to tell you, those gardeners can outwork you hard. I was sore.
So we don't need anything downtown.
No. We may have to deviate all that, okay? We need to get some younger folks. But anyway, Galen, thank you for your leadership and for what y'all do. It's wonderful. Thank you. Appreciate it. Okay. Is Cheryl here? Cheryl, come on down. Now, Cheryl, you are the lead SEM specialist at Savannah Nuclear Solutions?
I am.
Awesome. And you're here on behalf of the National Management Association? Okay, very good. Okay. Okay, good, very good, okay. All right.
And this is our Vice President, Lori.
Hey, I'm Britton.
Nice to meet
What's
you,
your name?
Lori.
Lori, so good to have you. Both of y'all, thank you. All right, whereas a joint congressional resolution in 1982 was signed into law, reflecting the dates of the 1983 observance, and then President Ronald Reagan issued a proclamation designating the first full week in June as Management Week in America. And whereas the City of North Augusta promotes leadership development opportunities for local government as well as industry. And public recognition of management as a profession will improve the quality of management, encourage those with management responsibility to increase their competence, inspire young citizens and educators to become familiar with the benefits of quality management provides to all of society, foster respect for the management profession, and creates an understanding of the central role of management in increasing productivity. And whereas the Savannah River Site Leadership Association, SRSLA, a proud chapter of the National Management Association, develops the leadership skills of new and existing leaders within our community. And whereas the Management Week co-sponsors present an award to an executive whose leadership, integrity, and management skills profoundly, visibly, and favorably influence the outstanding performance of a key element of American business, industry, governmental, or nonprofit activity, such as to set the person apart among contemporaries as well as recognized for their exemplary community service. And whereas City of North Augusta leadership in recognizing the outstanding achievement of the leaders of our community, both in public and private companies, are all reasons to celebrate this week. Now, therefore, I, Britton S. Williams, the Mayor of the City of North Augusta, South Carolina, do hereby proclaim the week June the 6th through June the 10th, 2022, as Management Week. In witness thereof, I have set my hand and seal and caused the seal of the City of North Augusta to be affixed the 6th day of June. I graduated from PC with a business degree, concentration in management, so I'm all on board with you. Okay, congrats. Thank you for that. That's fantastic. All right, I am going to ask the children, Miss Elizabeth Jones, and any family members, anybody would like to come on down, if you would. Hey, how are you? Good to see you. Good to see you, girl. Good to see you. Hey, so good to see you again. Okay. You got anybody else that wants to come down?
No, this is the
Oh,
children.
I know. Okay. Well, some folks. There you go. Down. Come on.
Her sister.
Yeah, good. We got plenty of room. Take your time. You know, we are going to have to get right. You know, we need railings. I know. I've almost tripped every time I come down here. I've been doing this for a year. We got to get more railings. Hey, how are you? Okay. I'm going to say a few things in a second. But anyway, proclamation. Whereas Elizabeth Jones was a well-respected resident of the City of North Augusta for over 40 years, and whereas she was a member of the North Augusta Rotary Club, and she was dedicated and valued volunteers in North Augusta High School and Fox Creek High School, and whereas she demonstrated her compassion for countless City of North Augusta senior citizens by advocating for a senior citizen, senior Center, and whereas the City of North Augusta appreciates, respects Elizabeth Jones for her commitment and contributions to the City of North Augusta, and whereas Elizabeth's daughters and granddaughters wish to celebrate her life with their friends and family with a day of service, and whereas Elizabeth Jones had the courage to come forward with her experiences and concerns in the interest of the betterment of the City of North Augusta. Now, therefore, I, Britton S. Williams, on behalf of the North Augusta City Council and on behalf of the people of North Augusta, do hereby proclaim June the 24th, 2022 to be Elizabeth Jones Day, in witness whereof I have hereunto set my hand and caused the seal of the City of North Augusta to be affixed the 6th day of June, 2022. Thank you. Two things. You know, I first had a chance to meet your mama during the primary. And it was really after the primary and the general, we got a chance to talk more and more. And I would say for myself personally, the thing I loved about your mama was she's passionate about her beliefs, but she articulated things in a way. She did not jump up and down. She wasn't that kind of motion. She articulated herself so well that, you know, you could have a conversation, and even while she was strong in her beliefs, she was a listener. And what was great for me is every time we departed, she never rubbed me a wrong way, whether we agreed on every single thing, and that's great people skills. So I know she passed that on to y'all. And I got to brag on Katie. So the first chance we had to meet was the neat thing about when you run during election day in North Augusta is most of the candidates will stand in the roundabout at the Riverview Park Activity Center. We hold up signs. And that really was a great opportunity. I got to talk to Elizabeth too, but I got to meet her daughter. I met all of y'all, but you and I got to talk the most. And what tells you about a parent is when you have a grown child who, of course, you all love your mama, but when you hear Katie talk about how much pride and respect she had for her mother as a person, as an individual, as a trendsetter for what she was doing, that says a lot of the kind of woman your mama was. So anyway, that was very impressive to me. And like I told you, we got to get you back here in North Augusta. Because you do a lot of good stuff in Atlanta, but we need you back here. But anyway, thank you very much for everything. Appreciate you coming down here, and so excited we could do that. And thank you for what your mom's contribution was. All right, let's get a round of applause. Thank you. Be safe. Yep. Okay, really the last thing we have is, I'm not going to read the whole proclamation because we do have this on record. It's a proclamation of emergency. We did this last year, and we did it for 6 months, where basically due to the pandemic and the issues with the pandemic, we wanted to be able, if one of our commissions or even this council needed to hold a city council meeting virtual, we wanted to have that ability. And this allowed that, and the reason why we will be adding this proclamation in the minutes again is that ran out, and we are going to be renewing. We don't have to vote on this, by the way. It's just we're renewing this, extend this for 1 year. So I think it's appropriate. We are starting to see a little bit of uptick in some parts of the state and the country. So I think to have this available doesn't mean we're going to need to use it, but it's available. So that's what this proclamation of emergency by the mayor is. So I'll let you know. Okay, let's jump in here. Okay, we're going to jump into unfinished business, item 6. Ordinance number 2022-06, an ordinance adopting a 5-year update to the 2017 comprehensive plan for the city of North Augusta. Do I have a motion to approve this ordinance on second reading?
So moved.
Ms. McCauley? Ms. Carpenter, thank you. Ms. Clifford, anything you'd like to share about this?
Mr. Mayor, I believe we've covered this in depth through both a study session and also in the previous council meeting. This would be the adoption of the 5-year comprehensive plan here with your second reading. This is a state of South Carolina requirement, and so all municipalities within the state are required to pass a ordinance to adopt their comprehensive plans every 5 years with a full redo at the 10-year mark. So 5 years hence, we'll be doing a complete redo of the comprehensive plan, but this will cover us for the next 5. And it's important that we have this because as we apply for different funding streams at the state and federal level, this is one of those documents that they'll reference to make sure this meets those intents as we move for grants and other funding streams. Subject to any of your questions.
All right, thank you. Any citizen input? Okay, any council discussion? Hearing none, I'll ask for a vote. All in favor? And that is unanimous. Thank you. Okay, item 7, zoning. Ordinance number 2022-07 to amend the zoning map of the city of North Augusta, South Carolina by rezoning plus or minus 2.72 acres of land owned by Barbara Andrews Ross, a portion of Aiken County tax parcel number 005-19-02-031 from CR critical areas to R7 small lot, single family residential. Do I have a motion to approve this ordinance on second reading?
So moved.
Okay, Mr. Presnell, second Mr. Brooks, thank you. Anything you need to share on that, Mr. Clifford?
Again, Mr. Mayor, this has been discussed previously, and they're on your screens in front of you, and also for our citizens. You can see the brown section of the property that abuts the blue P zoned area, which is really Mossy Creek Elementary School. And so this was the request to rezone portions of the CR zoning to R7 to allow for townhomes to be put at that location. Again, this has been before the Planning Commission and was discussed by the builder with the City Council at a previous session. And so this is your second reading of that request.
Okay, thank you. Any citizen input or comments, I should say, comments? Okay, any further council discussion? Okay, here and now, I'll ask for a vote. All in favor? And that is unanimous. Thank you. Okay, item 8, new business. Resolution number 2022-21, establishing and agreeing to participate in the Lower Savannah Regional Home Consortium. Do I have a motion to approve this resolution?
So moved.
Ms.
Second.
Carpenter, Mr. Brooks, thank you. Anything you'd like to share with Ms. Clifford, or is Ms. Moody?
Yes, sir. This was covered in a study session, but Dr. Molnar, who is the leader of the Lower Savannah Council of Governments, had briefed this as well, and this allows for the residents of North Augusta to participate in the home consortium. We've not had large participation in the past, and there are some restrictions about who may or may not participate in the program, but this is a no-cost event to the city of North Augusta, and our staff recommendation is to continue to participate with the COG in this program.
Okay, thank you. Any citizen comments or input? Okay, any council discussion?
I just hope we make it available to the residents of North Augusta who are able and who do pre-qualify for this. Let's make sure they know about it, Jim. Thank you.
Very good, thank you. All right, no other discussion, then I'll ask for a vote. All in favor? And that is unanimous. Thank you. Item 9, Planning and Development, Resolution number 2022-22, and accepting a deed of dedication for the streets, water distribution system, sanitary sewer, stormwater collection, fire suppression systems, detention ponds, and associated easements and rights-of-way, along with a maintenance guarantee and letter of credit for Hardy Point. Do I have a motion to approve this resolution? Mr. Presnell?
Second.
All right, Mr. Toole, thank you. Anything you'd like to share, Mr. Clifford?
Mr. Mayor and council members, this is a fairly routine action. This is accepting the deed of dedication, which does the transfer of infrastructure, essentially, that the developer puts in a neighborhood for the city to maintain in the long term. And this is done through Keystone Homes, which we have a relationship with existing development here in the city. So again, staff recommendation is to proceed on this item to allow the deed of dedication to move forward.
Any citizen comments? Okay, any council discussion? All right, I ask for a vote. All in favor? All right, that's unanimous. Thank you. Okay, item 10. Annexation, ordinance number 2022-08 to change the corporate limits of the city of North Augusta by accepting the petition requesting annexation by the landowners and annexing plus or minus 43.9 acres of property located on West Martintown and owned by Adams Brothers Properties, LLC. Do I have a motion to approve this ordinance on first reading? Mr. Presnell? Okay, Ms. Carpenter, I think she beat you. Mr. Brooks? All right, anything you'd like to share about this, Ms. Clifford?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. This is an item that had previously been considered and withdrawn and then reconsidered by the developer based on some wetland consideration there within the tract. So if you see on the screen, there is a dark brown tract of land that fronts Martintown Road and backs up against the Oak Creek development along Gregory Lake Road. And so ultimately what the developer is seeking to do is to put a townhome complex there on the north side of that piece of property with an exit onto Martintown Road with an emergency access road on a side road. And so even though it's a large tract of land there, about 58% of that is not buildable because of the wetland requirements. And so the development will be more on the north side of that. And I believe the current project is requesting 157 townhomes, and I believe there's a more detailed one in your packet that shows how that's going to look going forward. And so we're familiar with the builders, and they've already been in front of the BZA for annexing for R7, with the exception that we'd have there coming in at Edgefield County. And so ultimately the reason why they're asking to annex into the city is for sewer service. They have the ability to do other utilities, but specifically they need sewer from the city of North Augusta, which is why they're seeking to annex. And in my discussions with the mayor, this would be essentially the limit of advance from an annexation perspective that we'd be seeking to voluntarily annex along Martintown Road as far north as we're looking to go at this point in time. So subject to any of your questions, or myself or Rachel might be able to take a crack at answering those for you.
Any citizen input? I will say this, I didn't print this email. I don't know, I hadn't had to do this before, so I know the planning commission, I know what to do. I'm not sure on council, but we did have a lady who, Tricia Nichols. She is actually not in the city limits, but she did send an email living in the county, but she did ask us not to vote for this ordinance due to the traffic congestion and her concern about the growth on Martintown Road. So I did want to at least make that announcement under the citizen comment period. Any other comments from citizens who are here? Okay, any council discussion? Okay, then I'll ask for a vote. All in favor? Unanimous. First reading, thank you. Item 11, City Code, ordinance number 2022-09, amending Article 13, Signs of the North Augusta Development Code, Chapter 18 of the City of North Augusta, South Carolina Code of Ordinances. Do I have a motion to approve this ordinance on first reading?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. McCauley, Mr. Brooks, thank you. And what would you like to share about this, Ms. Clifford?
So I know this was a topic of discussion of the study session. The document that you have in your packet, the draft ordinance, or actually the final ordinance, includes the definitions for both murals and public art. And again, to remind council members and citizens, this would be expanding the ability to put murals in the city of North Augusta outside of just the downtown corridor, but to add them into public spaces. I believe the intent is to be able to have some of our art groups be able to provide some art along the greenway and through some of the culverts that are associated with some of the bridges and some of the undergrounds that are there. And so ultimately, we believe the ordinance that's before you meets that intent and allows for some of those murals to be added to public space.
And the planning commission added the public art piece to it, I believe, which was good.
Yes, sir.
I'm glad they did that. That was, okay. Thank you, Ms. Clifford. Any citizen input? Okay, any council discussion? I talked about this already. Everybody good? Okay. I'll ask for a vote. All in favor? And that is unanimous. Thank you. Item 12, Engineering Public Works, Resolution Number 2022-23, a resolution authorizing the acceptance of the low bid of CBH Excavation LLC for the North Woods Pipe Replacement Project. Do I have a motion to approve this resolution?
So moved.
All right, Mr. Toole. Mr. Presnell, thank you. What would you like to share about this, Ms. Clifford?
For the council, just so you have some understanding of what this project is, this is to do a replacement of a degrading stormwater pipe in this neighborhood. So you have a metal stormwater pipe which has started to fail at various points, and that causes sinkholes in that neighborhood. And so ultimately what this contract is to have a vendor come in and replace that with the existing or pipe that we have on hand. So we have the materials already. This is for the contractor to actually use their heavy earth equipment and other specialized tools to be able to put the new stormwater pipe in that neighborhood. And the payment method would be through the stormwater utility fund, not through the general fund or through capital projects. And the location of this is closer to Fire Station 3, not too far off Belvedere Clearwater Road. Subject to any other questions you may have.
Thank you. Any citizen comments? Okay, council discussion? Okay, I'll ask for a vote. All in favor? All right, unanimous. Thank you. And let me just tell citizens, some folks, we have some new folks here, just so you don't realize, one of the things that we're doing now is we meet on the first and third Mondays for council, but we have our study sessions as a separate night now, which is on the second and fourth. So that's really the study session in most situations where you'll hear the most questions and where we'll have, whether it's our directors or we'll have folks talking about a particular initiative. So you don't, at our meetings tonight, quite frankly, in most situations, the legwork has been done on the front end, and we do that a week early. So if there are questions from citizens, we have the whole week for them to address with council. So I just want to, for folks who may not have been here before and folks who are watching, if you really want to understand things that are happening in the city of North Augusta, I will tell you the second and fourth Mondays are our study sessions, and that's really where we're talking about everything that we're voting on tonight. So I just want to get that out. Pat, normally you have to say that. I figured out to save you from having to say it. Okay. Okay. Any administrative reports, sir?
For the mayor and council, I know the mayor's tracking. I think the council will be first heard as well for our citizens. But it's our intention to run the next study session on Monday, the 13th of June, as a virtual study session. We have a number of folks who will be out of town, and so this will make it permissible for us to be able to get a quorum and also to be able to have the updates you'd get for the following week. We will not be doing a focus item on that, so it'll strictly be an agenda review on the 13th of June.
Okay. Very good. Okay. Item 14, presentation, communication, and recognition. This is when citizens may speak to mayor or council concerning any matters not listed on the agenda. So is there anyone here who would like to address council? Okay. So council comments, I've got 3 things I want to share. So, and if you want to say something about, let me just go through this and then y'all may want to add to it. A big shout out on Friday, the Parks and Recreation had our splash day, and it was a huge turnout. I know when I got there at 11:30, it was crowded. I can't imagine by 12:30 what it looked like, but awesome way to kick off the summer. So I just thank Rick Meyer and the entire PRT team for that. And they did really double duty because on Saturday, we had our first rocking and rafting. And I just want to make some comments about that. I want to thank a lot of people. I want to start off by thanking our entire Parks, Recreation, Tourism team. That's Rick Meyer and Carl Waldrauer for their leadership. Jeremy Junis and Derek Boyd and Randy DeToe really made it happen. And we also need to thank our park maintenance, Riverview Park maintenance team, which is Lee Jones and Ben Bartley. A lot of behind-the-scenes stuff they did. They kind of do a lot of the grunt work. So I want to thank them for their efforts. And, of course, Rachel, who's our Assistant City Administrator, really was the glue that kept all of that going over the last year. So thank you, Rachel. And Jim, of course, as administrator, was very supportive. But, you know, Jim's the kind of guy, he doesn't talk the talk, he walks the walk. So he had to build a poncho raft and swim 200 meters dragging his two children. But he willed himself to victory. So thank you for your support, Mr. Clifford. Yeah, I know he did, because that water's cold. We had a number of folks who, partners, the Augusta Rowing Club, Brad Holdren, they were out there, amazing. They let us use their floating dock, which was huge. But I want to thank the Augusta Rowing Club was our partner. They took all of the stress of the water off of us. We actually had 2 lifeguards from the YMCA in Barnwell. I want to thank that. We had 4? Oh, 2 on the boat. Okay, 4. Good. Okay. Want to thank Andy Colbert, Trey Pitts of the Mason Jars. Great. Heard a lot of compliments. You're going to hear them a lot more. They're really making a name for themselves in this area. They were fantastic. Jeremy McRae with the CSRA kayaks. Talk about pro bono work. I mean, he brought all of the kayaks that were used. He's in this area in South Carolina, just phenomenal. He and his team, really thankful for their efforts. Tara Carroll with the Chamber of Commerce, they handled all of the family games section. And actually what I thought was cool is 3 of their leadership youth were in the race. So that was really neat. And Eric Presnell, Eric, I got to thank you because you had a tough job. You had to pull me down the river while I sat on this big yellow raft so I wouldn't fall in until I was ready to fall in. So, Eric, we appreciate your help. But here's the deal. Guys, I'm telling you, we have had so many positive feedbacks from citizens and really vendors. We showed that you can use the actual water, and it will draw people to it. There were hundreds of people on the riverbank. I think that's the thing that blew my mind. And this is what I was going to ask you if you saw it from the river. But, I mean, you're talking about living in the South. I mean, it was like a Tom Sawyer novel. All these people sitting on the banks of the mighty Savannah River on a sunny day. It was so cool to me. That was surprising. I didn't think that was awesome. You know, we have the best amenities in Riverside Village. And I think by utilizing this event in the river, we have now linked those two in a positive way. And I'm just going to tell you what the future looks like, okay? We continue to expand this concept of combining water with our amenities like the amphitheater, because no one around in Sarasota has it. We continue to revitalize our downtown, and we bring the Greenway into it. And now that the carpet shop is being developed, that will be the connection, the gateway portal between these two entities, the downtown and Riverside. You're talking about, can you imagine in the next couple of years the possibility of having activity along that entire corridor? I mean, that is what can happen. And the beautiful thing about it is we have the potential to do it, and we're ahead of the game. So we are on the cusp of the next few years to have some amazing things happening to bring the quality of life of citizens of North Augusta up in an amazing way. So I tell you, it was just very exciting, and I'm very appreciative of council. We're very appreciative of all of the support we got. So any comments from council from your experience? Eric, you want to go first?
I was just going to say it was great, and I believe Kat does have pictures of that crowd. She took a lot of pictures while we were out there on the boat. So, but it really was a great event. I just imagine it getting bigger and bigger. I still remember when I was a kid, I don't remember who put it on, but there used to be, it was a huge event. Bob, you probably were at the Parks and Rec then, but there was really nothing on the South Carolina side, but it was River Race Augusta or something. And it was huge. And I think if we keep at this, it'll be just as big. I'm excited to see what we can do next year. I thought it was a great event, well attended. The band was good, had some good food vendors there too. We ate a couple cheeseburgers. I didn't try the lobster dog.
That was incredible.
Everybody said, I'm just a little scared to spend $20 out of a food truck. But it was a great event, and Chief, thanks to your guys for bringing the boat out and running support. And
Yes, thank you. I'm sorry, Chief. John and them did a good job.
But yeah, it was certainly, I know everybody looks at me. I've been pushing this boat dock because I love boating. But I think this is going to, once we get that piece in place, this is going to make it's going to make our city a destination. There are many places. You go up to Lake Murray, you just go up there to go to the little restaurants and go to the little shops. And, Savannah, Beaufort's probably a good example. They got a little bit more waterfront than us, but I think this would be a good thing for us.
Well, I know the mayor has thanked everybody, but it was Mayor Britton Williams who had the vision for this. And
I had to support it.
no, you had the vision and you wanted it. So thank you, Mayor. And like I said, not only did you jumped off that raft and swam to the shore. So thank you for being a good mayor. And I will say this off the subject, but I attended my little grandbaby's recital at the Columbia County Performing Art Building. I'm telling North Augusta we need to get on that. We are behind. That is the most wonderful building. So I think one of our next big projects should be a performing art theater for our citizens.
Plug that in there.
Don't worry on it.
Nice little slip in there.
Okay. Anything else? Y'all good? Okay. And the only thing I'm going to let everybody know about is on the 4th of July, the Living History Park, they're having their celebrate 4th of July again. They're going to have hot dogs, free hot dogs, watermelons. They're going to have a parade, a dog parade, which is going to be cool. So get your dog, put in a stroller, kids, they'll be reading of the Constitution. So anyway, put that on your calendar from 10 to 2 on July the 4th. That'll be a great event. So that's all I have for the good of the order. Anything else for anybody? Everybody good? Good? All right. Thank you all for being here and have a good evening. Stand adjourned.